What's up, guys? Welcome to Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, Jay Mill. Jay Miller, if you like. So let's get into it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We're up to 61, maybe 62 subscribers. When we get to 100, we'll give something away. But I do see we're picking up more subscribers every day. So keep hitting that like button, keep hitting that subscribe button. So let's get into it. So before I get into anything else, I guess I got to get into the news of the day. I was going to talk about rookie minicamp and, kind of everybody getting in and getting together, which is all nice and well. But there's really nothing going on there. It's more just the guys kind of getting in, getting their feet under them, getting used to learning the playbook, the tempo of practice, how we practice, where we line up, where the meeting rooms are, just a whole bunch of that stuff that needs to be figured out before the veterans come in so we can just hit the ground running. But in Cowboys non-fashion, because the Cowboys really haven't done anything like this in a long time. So this is exciting. They trade for George Pickens. Now, let's start with the compensation. So the compensation is the Cowboys send the Pittsburgh Steelers a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick. The third-round pick is in next year's draft, and the fifth-round pick is also in next year's draft. They get back the 2027, so the year after that, sixth-round pick from the Steelers. The fifth-round pick is also in that same draft. So that draft is almost a pick swap. Steelers fifth, Cowboys fifth, get back the Steelers sixth, and then the Steelers get a third in next year's draft. The Cowboys get George Pickens, of course, and of course that sixth-round pick that I was talking about. So now you see the offense starting to take a little shape. One of the things we talked about going into the draft was the Cowboys need to add overall team speed, right? Not necessarily on the defense, because the defense is actually filled with some horses there that have some decent speed, except for maybe your safety position. But as far as offense, the Cowboys' offense was really slow. That's not so much the case anymore, because now adding George Pickens, who is 6'3", so we all wanted Tedero McMillan, 6'4". Pickens has a longer wingspan, so you got a guy with an 82-inch wingspan. So he's an inch shorter than Tedero, but he's actually longer than Tedero. He's faster than Tedero, and he already has NFL experience. So you don't have to worry about him learning the game as a rookie. Learning curve. He comes in and he can play day one. So he has that element of T speed. You add that to Jaden Blue. CeeDee Lamb was not a slow guy. I've seen a lot of people trying to talk about CeeDee Lamb in the 4.5s. He's a 4.47 guy. So CeeDee Lamb is not a slow guy by any means. Kevontae Turpin is still there, and now Kevontae Turpin gets to slide into his normal role, which is the fourth guy / gadget guy. It'll be interesting to see Pickens, Lamb, Turpin, Blue lined up all on the field at the same time. That's a lot of speed coming at defenses. And all of a sudden now the Cowboys have also become, in my opinion, overall more talented offense, or at least equally as talented as the Commanders. Going into training camp or veteran mini camp, if we didn't do anything else, I still thought we were the third most talented offense in the division, and probably the second most talented defense in the division. But now I think we're second in both. We're the second most talented offense, the second most talented defense, and we probably have the best special teams in the division. So now you're going to have Dak Prescott actually be able to have options when he drops back in the passing game. For the last couple years, it's been CeeDee Lamb and the guys, right? But now adding George Pickens to the other side, go ahead, defense. Go ahead and double team CeeDee Lamb and leave George Pickens, double covered. See what that gets you. Or, hey, go ahead, put two shell high, cover two, and play zone and lighten up the box and let the Cowboys tee off on you with somebody like Booker and with somebody like Cooper Beebe and Tyler Smith and Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa and these guys. Maybe it's Javonte Williams. Maybe it's Miles Sanders. Hey, Nick Chubb's out there. Maybe the Cowboys go up and say, hey, you know what? Let's add one more guy to this offense. Let's go add Nick Chubb. I would really like that signing because I really think that would raise the floor of the Cowboys running back room tremendously, and take someone like Miles Sanders, keep him on the roster, and just let all these guys go to camp and battle it out and see what happens. But the offense becomes much more dynamic now. So I went through and I watched a couple of the catches from a couple of the early season games that George Pickens played against the Atlanta Falcons, and then I believe against the Jets. And then I went and watched some of his highlight package from the season just so I could get a feel for some of his best catches, his best routes, his best plays. And I mean, the guy pretty much has everything that we need to be an impact player pretty much right away. I think this is an excellent, excellent move for the Dallas Cowboys on the field. Now, we can talk about some of the other parts, right? Because George Pickens is a very emotional player. He does tend to get penalized a lot. He does tend to fly off the handle a little bit if he's not, getting the ball. But I think I would take some of that for what the upside is. As far as the locker room is concerned, I don't know. I know he had some problems with a couple of the guys in Pittsburgh, and he kind of made that known in very subtle ways. So I'm hoping having a locker room with people like Dak Prescott and people like Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, and then you add a person like Booker to it, and you add a person like Izaraku and Revel, you got some of these other guys. Malik Hooker's always been, very outspoken. And then you got DeMarvion Overshown, who has that infectious personality. I really, and Tyler Smith too, he's another one of the leaders in the clubhouse. I really think the Cowboys have the infrastructure in place to absorb any type of antics from a player like this. Now, he does play the wide receiver position, and I mean, let's not act like the wide receiver hasn't always been the most flashy and the most controversial and the guy who kind of is very saucy in your locker room and on the field. He's very emotional, right? He's high. He's living with his highs and he's dying with his lows. It's a roller coaster. Actually, George Pickens might end up being a microcosm for the Cowboys' last 30 years, right? When they're up, they're up. When they're down, they're down. When they're falling apart, it's great TV. I mean, you get all of that with this guy. But if he can harness some of the things that make him great while mitigating some of those blow-ups, I'm not saying that the guy should never get upset. I mean, we watched CeeDee Lamb on the sideline get upset, when he wasn't necessarily getting, passes from Dak Prescott. But even outside of the Cowboys, I mean, we watched A.J. Brown go to the bench and read a book. Every time they pan to him on the camera, he's reading a book because he wasn't getting the ball enough, so he was out there just making a scene in a completely different way. I mean, it's not anything unusual for a wide receiver to act this way at times, but I mean, the on-field stuff that you're getting, and I'm just salivating just thinking about the Cowboys offense, when they line up for that first game of the season, and you've got Pickens out there, and you've got CeeDee Lamb out there, and you probably got Jonathan Mingo out there as well, and you're lining up, and they're lining up in 11 personnel, and you got those other guys coming out there trying to stop you in nickel or dime. You got that tight end out there. Like, the field just opens up completely, and his chess piece in the offense makes all the other pieces kind of make sense, right? That's what the Cowboys were lacking with not having a number 2 wide receiver. But now you could argue that they have 2 number 1 wide receivers, right? You think of the great tandems in the NFL that exist right now, and you got A.J. Brown and the Slim Reaper over there in Philadelphia, right? And you got the Miami guys, you got the guys in Cincinnati. I mean, the Cowboys are right up there with all of them right now as far as this tandem on paper. Now they have to go produce. Now, this also helps Dak Prescott, right? Because one of the things I noticed about George Pickens when watching some of this film, he does have a wide catch radius. Pretty much you throw the ball, he's going to come down with it. But some other things he does really well too is I know we talked about Brandon Cooks last year, one of the touchdown catches that he caught in the back of the end zone and during training camp. And he did such a good job having like late hands, and it was very difficult for the DB to get a beat on what Brandon Cooks was doing. And then he brought that into the regular season and had a big touchdown running across the end zone and doing the same thing, showing those late hands, getting the feet down. George Pickens does this on a regular. So that's one of his signatures. That's one of his hallmarks. He's very good with the timing of his hands, throwing DBs off so that they can't get a beat on when the ball is coming in. And if he gets behind them and their back is turned trying to catch up with him, he's not sitting out there with his hands all wide, letting them kind of get a phantom hand up in between him and the ball to kind of bat it down to the ground. He's very good at waiting to the last second, and then when he does put his hands up, they're very sure. He doesn't drop a lot of those deep contested balls. Now, the routine balls, the things that should be easy for him, that's the type of problems that he does run into from time to time. He does tend to drop some of those balls. So I am hoping that getting with the Cowboys coaches and getting with Dak Prescott and getting some of that work in, we'll get some of those routine plays. But best believe you're going to get some of those spectacular highlight plays. You talk about the problems that the Cowboys have had in the red zone. You had a target with him being 6'3" with that 82-inch wingspan. Then you already have CeeDee Lamb, who's already always been a monster in the red zone. You had Jake Ferguson, Schoonmaker, and then a reliable running game with a good offensive line. I mean, the Cowboys offense just took a huge step up. So looking forward to it. Super excited about it. Not ready to make any predictions as to what that means as far as record or how they finish the season or where they go. But just excited to get them in the building and get them practicing with the guys. And then really excited to see training camp because when you see some of those team drills and those one-on-one battles, you're going to see them make some spectacular highlight plays. And then, we'll worry about the season once it gets here. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll go back and break down some more George Pickens film. I'll get on the screen and kind of take a look at a lot more stuff and get a little bit more nuanced of a breakdown for you. Maybe we'll do an episode on kind of what his weaknesses are and where the Cowboys could be in trouble with him and CeeDee Lamb if teams figured out how to scheme different things. Maybe I shouldn't put that on wax so that nobody else hears it, but these are NFL guys. Pretty sure they're already doing their homework. But like I said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter at JMillerIYL. That's JMiller if you like. You can also hit me up at knockersonthebottom@outlook.com. Again, knockersonthebottom@outlook.com. You can hit me at knockersonthebottom@gmail.com. Any questions that you have, you can leave comments below. I'll take them here. I'll take them via Twitter, take it via email, roll into a mailbag, make it a formal segment. But love you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, I'm your host, J Miller if you like. This has been Knockers on the Bottom. Peace.